What's up, world? Um, Back again, back at it. Live journaling session. I wanted to pull up here in my purple journal. I wanted to pull up an older entry. Something that I've sort of really took me a long time to process, and something that I haven't plugged in really into Mind at all or used Mind with yet. Probably for a couple reasons. One, I don't know. I don't know if I was ready to truly process it. I didn't know if I was ready to see um, a lot of maybe some of the truths that were living inside of that, and really excavate that. Just because there were so many hard emotions that were in there for me. Um, I didn't even give my intro. My name is Bobby Davis. Full transparency, I work on the Mind team. These videos are about live journaling and using Mind as a tool to help expand on those journal entries and pull out some key insights, develop more questions, and sort of help deepen my own process of self discovery, deepen my own process of self understanding. So that is why we're here. Um, but yeah, back to it. I'll pull up the journal entry right here and then give a little bit of insight about it. I just typed it up from my journal, changed some names and changed some stuff just so I'm not, disrespecting anybody's privacy. This journal entry is generally about the ending of a last relationship that I had. Some of the fears that I had in ending that relationship, some of the things I was scared to say to that person, some of the things I was scared to see within myself and how those things manifested, and what resulted as a result of me not only not knowing how to share how I felt, but me not saying that early enough, right? And every time we kind of go through these situations in life, hindsight is of course 2020. You see you're like, oh, it happened right there, and I could have said it right there, and then that would have made it. Nothing ever happens like that, right? In reality, we always have the visibility to be able to look back. But the reason that for me, journaling and by proxy, Mind is such a powerful tool is that it helps me pull out these major themes so that when I start seeing the road markers, when I start seeing the signs, when I'm doing similar things within my mind, I can see that. It's not about, trying to like push that part of myself away. It's not about trying to be like, oh, I need to be better. For me, it's really just about being able to see the processes of the mind, right? Being able to see when the mind has familiar patterns that, for whatever reason, it's built these programs that run and that are happening in the mind. And so, if we can develop a better understanding for when those signs pop up, I think that gives us a better understanding of ourselves, and personally, ultimately, I think it helps us live a better life because we feel less controlled by the mind, feel a little bit more autonomous, and can see the mind as a own entity running its own processes. Okay, I'm getting off my philosophical high horse. Let me take my journal entry, and put it into Mind, and then see what we get back. See what sort of ideas we can pull away with. Mm. Stay healthy, guys. Okay, let's dive into it. So going over the summary first. The writer is expressing a mix of emotions, including sadness, longing, anger, and regret. Um, they feel a sense of loss for the relationship they had with this person, which they ended prematurely out of fear and lack of courage. I will say, so nice. I like to do tool updates. Either the way I was writing or the way it was interpreted, that part is not necessarily true. It didn't end prematurely. It ended probably later than it should have. They also feel resentment for not being strong enough to accept that they weren't getting what they wanted from the relationship. Lord have mercy. That can go straight into the journal entry. That's a bar right there, and it's true. Um, some of the emotions: sadness, longing, anger, regret, fear, for sure. Sadness, longing, letting go. To be honest, I'm mostly excited to pop down to these questions. So let me go through these questions with y'all, and then we can talk about them. I just updated my Loom account so I can talk for longer. You're welcome. So number one, what were you hoping to get out of the relationship that you didn't get? What made you decide to end the relationship prematurely? And what is one thing you can do to help yourself understand and cope with the emotions that you're feeling? These are all, oops, these are all really awesome. Let me pop these in here. So since I have a little bit more time, I kind of want to talk through. I want to talk through sort of what I'm seeing and why these. why these questions are helping and why this sort of process is helping. As I was even writing this out and as I was plugging this into mine, being able to get some of these key insights back from specifically the summary, but also seeing the emotions next to each other, I'm realizing as I'm writing this that there is that when I feel certain emotions of sadness, I almost always tack on an anger feeling of that, right? So this is helping me sort of see that these processes are stacked within me at least, and for everybody it's going to be, it's going to be unique because you're living your own life. But for me, a lot of times I stack these processes of sadness. If I'm feeling sadness, or if I'm feeling anything that I think might feel an attack on my courage, that is almost immediately followed by anger. And so the thing that I'm noticing as I'm speaking and as I'm looking at these things is I'm simultaneously kind of building a loop of if I feel sadness, then I'm creating an anger process, which makes me mad that I'm feeling the sadness, which is just creating more distance, probably internally, and just increasing the sadness. And not knowing how to express that, especially in this last relationship, which I'm writing about, certainly created a distance, but it also created this little pocket of resentment that was hard for me to understand how to navigate. So this is certainly helping me get through that. Um, Number one, what was I hoping to get out of the relationship that I didn't get? Very, very good question. And I think through writing this out, I was able to even find that out a little bit more. And I think for sure the one thing that I was learning that I really wanted was deep intimacy and compassion. Um, which actually really ties into this sort of keyword of resentment over here, because I had some messed up ideas about maybe if I desire too much companionship, or if I desire too much intimacy, that may be a sign of weakness, right? And we can sort of see strength here as like a key word in the writing. So that's really interesting. I'm talking through this with you all, so if it's a little choppy, that's what it is. But yeah, this is my mind. What made you decide to end? That's so number two. We're gonna 86 that out because it's not necessarily relevant. What is one thing you can do to help yourself understand and cope with the emotions that you're feeling? I think one of the most powerful things I can do, which is why Mind is so helpful, is that I can start with a it sounds so cliche to say, I can start from a place of acceptance. um, I can start from I can start from just looking at it and saying, "Hey, these are processes that are running in my mind right now. First and foremost, full stop. Like these processes are happening, and that's the truth." Sometimes I think we carry a lot of excuse me. Sometimes I think we carry a lot of shoulds. So maybe I would look at this and say, "Oh, well, I shouldn't feel this way about wanting more intimacy, or I shouldn't be bothered that they do this." I think for me, a lot of the realization and a lot of the change starts once I just say, "Look, what is the truth? The truth is that I do feel this way. The truth is that I do desire this from that person. The truth is that that does make me angry and make me insecure, make me whatever." And once I start there, um, then I can actually build up towards where I want to go. So, for example, maybe I say, I don't want to feel so much anger, when I feel a weakness. Okay, that's a fine thing to desire, but that process can only start once I think I've admitted to myself that I do have this sort of anger tacked on to whatever sort of emotion. And that's why Mind is helpful, is because I can see it sort of right in front of me. Right, if I'm talking to a friend, I can run from it. I can ignore it. If I'm talking to a therapist, I can run from it. I can ignore it. I can, justify and say, well, they maybe had something in their past, or I could say, they don't know what they're talking about. It's very, very hard. It's very hard to look at something as objective as this and, think that it has any other agenda. Um, Simply taking my writing and pulling out some information from there and asking it in almost the most cold way, which I think maybe counterintuitively is typically what can be the most helpful, at least for me. So I think the answer to number three for me is one thing that I can do to help myself understand and cope with the emotions is first start with acceptance, right? First start with looking at the emotions, looking at the keyword, looking at the summary, and just saying, look, besides all the what you think you should do or what you think would be perfect, look at sort of what is. So that was helpful. It feels good. Felt therapeutic. Um, Thanks so much for tapping in. I like doing these. These are helpful not only to use the tool and see what stuff we want to build on the tool itself, but also just talk through some of these entries. And hopefully this encourages to people to do their own self exploration process. It doesn't have to be anything like mine. It doesn't even have to be journaling. It doesn't even have to use mine. But I think some of the greatest places to explore are internal and are right within you. So if this can encourage you to do that, then that's pretty cool. So thanks for tapping in. If you guys want to go check out mine, the links are all in the description. And otherwise, I'll see y'all on the next one. See you.